$60 for a hoodie. And let's not even talk about the $100 ones. If you're anything like me, you probably stared at these price tags in disbelief and wondered, what on earth am I paying for? Today we're going to break it all down, why hoodies cost so much, what goes into the price, and whether moving production back to the United States would actually make a difference. Spoiler alert, it's really complicated. First, let's address the obvious. Hoodies didn't always cost this much. If you rewind to just a few years ago, you could grab a decent hoodie for maybe $20 to $30. But now, prices have skyrocketed. And it's not just hoodies, it's everything. We're living in a time where people are not just buying products, they're buying identities. You see, hoodies used to be practical, something to keep you warm in the winter, maybe wear to the gym occasionally. But today, they've become cultural artifacts. A hoodie isn't just a hoodie anymore. It's a statement about who you are. And the brands, they've leaned into that one hard. But let's start with the basics. What actually makes a hoodie cost $60? Here's the reality. When you buy a $60 hoodie, the breakdown might look something like this. Materials, which can be between $10 and $15. Labor, which may cost $5 to $10. The overhead, $10 to $15. And the branding, $20 to $30. At its core, making a hoodie doesn't cost $60. It's the branding, marketing, and profit margins that drive the price up. That Nike swoosh or that Supreme box logo, that's the $30 you're paying for, brand clout. But this gets even deeper when you start looking at where hoodies are made. One of the biggest complaints I hear is, why can't we just make these in the US and bring jobs back? It's a great idea, but the reality is, well, complicated.
Use the clothes, they're mostly women and children who work over 12 hours a day. 170 million children are spending their days working in some of the worst conditions on the planet. They're verbally abused, not allowed to take breaks, forced to work even when they're tired, sick, or injured, all that for maybe $2 to $3 a day if they're lucky. And when people start feeling guilty for buying clothes made in Bangladesh, or India, or China, well, you hit them with the best trick in the book. A nice old reassuring made in the USA label.
Here's the deal. Making a hoodie in the US would cost significantly more. Why? Labor. The average garment worker overseas earns $100 to $200 per month. In the US, minimum wage alone makes that number closer to $15 an hour. And even with automation, the cost difference is massive. Bringing production back to the US doesn't necessarily mean cheaper hoodies. In fact, it would likely mean $100 hoodies, becoming the norm. And even then, automation will reduce the number of jobs created. It's a lose-lose for affordability and large-scale employment. But let's be real. Even if hoodies were made in the US, you're still paying a premium for branding. Why? Because brands know we'll pay it. A plain hoodie is just a hoodie. But add a logo, a story, a cool ad campaign, and suddenly it's a must-have item. You're not just buying fabric, you're buying an identity. You're buying into the idea that wearing this hoodie makes you look cooler, feel better, or align with a particular lifestyle. That's what branding does. It creates emotional value where there might not be physical value. Now, let's talk ethics. A lot of people want cheaper hoodies, but they also want fair wages, sustainable practices, and better working conditions. The problem? You can't have all three, not without paying more. Ethical production, whether it's paying fair wages or using sustainable materials, costs more money. Organic cotton is more expensive than synthetic blends. Paying workers livable wages costs more than pennies per hour. And brands that commit to these practices, they pass those costs on to you. Of course, we can't ignore the bigger picture. Inflation and global supply chain issues, everything, materials, shipping, energy, costs more now than it did 5 years ago. Cotton prices are up, transportation costs have skyrocketed, and brands, already used to high profit margins, aren't taking the hit. They're passing it on to us. Even basic, no frills hoodies are more expensive because the cost to make and move them has gone way up. So where does this leave us? Are we doomed to pay $60 to $100 for a hoodie forever? Not necessarily. There are ways to balance affordability, ethics, and quality, but they require compromise. It's not a perfect solution, but as consumers, we do have some power. And the more we demand transparency and fairness, the more the industry will have to adapt. So, why do hoodies cost so much? It's a combination of branding, ethics, inflation, and where they're made. Could things change? Absolutely, but only if we're willing to pay for that change, or rethink how we consume. Let me know in the comments, what's the most you've ever spent on a hoodie? And do you think brands should bring production back to the US, even if it means higher prices? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.